burned their weapons at a symbolic ceremony, making the start of a historic disarmament process. The move aims to end a decades-long conflict that has claimed more than 40,000 lives. An AFP correspondent on the ground confirmed that fighters torched their arms as part of the deal. But tensions remain high just hours before the ceremony. Authorities say 2 drones were shot down overnight near Peshmerga bases. 1 drone was destroyed above the 70th unit in Suleimania late Thursday night, and another explosive-laden drone was intercepted early Friday near Altyn Kupri in Kirkuk province. No casualties were reported, but the incidents underscored the security challenges as the PKK takes its first formal steps towards disarmament in Iraq's autonomous Kurdistan region. Now we move on to our next news. Beijing has denied claims of asking firms to illegally collecting and store users' personal information. This comes after an Irish regulator helping in European Union regulate data privacy began in investigating China's social media giant TikTok. The social media giant has been in the crosshairs of Western governments for years over fears that personal data could be used by China for espionage or propaganda purposes. However, TikTok has insisted that it has never received any requests from Chinese authorities for European users' data. TikTok was fined $620 million in May by the Data Protection Commission over sending personal data to China. Although the Chinese social media giant had insisted this data was only accessed remotely. Let's in fact listen in to what Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning had to say.
具体问题呢，建议你向中方的主管部门询问。我可以告诉你的是，中国政府高度重视并依法保护数据隐私和安全，从来没有也不会要求企业或个人以违法的形式采集或存储数据。我们希望欧方切实尊重市场经济和公平竞争原则，为各国企业提供公平、公正和非歧视的营商环境。
Now we go back to our guest discussion with Ambassador Suresh Goel. Thank you, Ambassador, for staying with us. Now, what are the main concerns raised by European regulators regarding TikTok's handling of user data and potential links to Chinese authorities?
You see, this remains a very murky kind of a situation where denials by the company do not seem to really convince anyone that what they're saying is not being done is actually true. The fact is that once you have your servers, you have all your database in China, to which the Chinese government has access, and under the law, Chinese government will be able to access anything stored on the servers at any time without any questioning or any resistance by TikTok. So till that data continues to be stored on servers in China and TikTok continues to be a Chinese company which remains under the jurisdiction of China, any kind of a denial remains rather weak unless there are very convincing kind of arguments given or processes explained which can convince the world that it is indeed not being done. You see, the fact is that in these days, the information or the data is gold really. And once a government has the data about all kinds of things, the personal affairs of key people, and many key people use TikTok for communication or for conveying the ideas. If it has personal information about the users, how are they behaving, their social behavior, their economic compulsions and the priorities, it can become really a very, very powerful tool in the hands of China. And therefore, to me personally, the argument by TikTok that no, this information or the Chinese government has never requested this information or the TikTok has never been required to share this information with China does not hold water. In the past, there have been instances when China has used information. In fact, the very reason that high technology items, even to the extent of mobiles and the chips, and when the questions are raised about using the technology from China, because there is always a doubt that in any equipment be from China could have been manipulated to gather information from the other country. Therefore, I really would look at this with a pinch of salt and be careful and take out proper action that personal data does not in any fashion go to TikTok or the country where they're actually hosted.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Suresh Goyal,
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Thank you and sharing your insight throughout our news. Now we move on to our next